Hey everyone, Dumont Owen here. It is noon on Wednesday here in the eastern part of the United States, or the near eastern part of the United States. I'm in Ohio, so right now uh, it feels like we're fall because the weather here it was in the 80s a couple of days ago. Now it's in the 50s. So if I look like I'm going like this, it's because it's cold in my office right now. But today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite topics, and that is how to build a LinkedIn sales funnel, really, in four steps or in four parts by using that kind of a plan. And what I'll tell you is that everything that you're going to see here today, this is all part of the free LinkedIn. You don't have to have a premium plan. You can absolutely get LinkedIn to really work for you and to make it. And by following this system and using these strategies, you should be able to attract your ideal clients, almost on demand. You're certainly going to build a relationship and have a lot more people in the pipeline. So before we get started, if you are watching me on Facebook, please remember to go. There should be a box right above me where you can give StreamYard permission to display your name. In that way, I know who's asking the question. However, you don't have to. I'll answer the question if you're anonymous. Just whatever works for you. So hold on a second. And I am going to share my screen here. There we go. I love it when this works right, don't you? So anyway, today we're talking about how to land more clients on LinkedIn with the social selling system. And LinkedIn, like all social media platforms, works a little bit differently in terms of the sales process than if you were networking in person. However, a lot of the same concepts still apply. It's just that you do them a little bit differently on LinkedIn or on any social media because, at least for now, we're all operating in the brick and mortar world. No, we're not operating in the brick and mortar world. We're operating online and hoping to be able to do more in the brick and mortar world. But it's really good to understand the difference between how those two worlds interact. What I'm going to be showing you today is how to build relationships on LinkedIn that will either find opportunities such as referral partners or your ideal clients. And this works for anyone who is in the B2B or B2B professional environments. In other words, you offer professional services either to individuals or to companies, but it's all in that basic business realm. And that, of course, is where LinkedIn is magnificent because it's the only platform that is truly about business, totally about business. So let's get started. Can't wait to show you some of this. It's really cool. Okay, so what we're going to be talking about today is social selling. And so first we're going to look at what social selling actually is, why it's so important, because social selling and understanding that process is the key, really, to you being able to attract the exact right people that you want to on LinkedIn. Next, we're going to talk about the 4 pillars of the social selling index, and that is actually LinkedIn's own index, which tells you, if you keep track of it, just how well you're doing all these pieces that comprise the social selling process. And then finally, some of you have been asking me about the lucrative LinkedIn lead system, so I'm just going to touch on that. So let's get started. All right. So what exactly is social selling? It's really the process of building relationships online so that people are familiar with you. They know you. They've come to know you because they see you in different, when you're publishing or posting on LinkedIn, they see you in groups. They see you in a lot of different ways. And so this is about building those relationships before people are making a decision to buy, so that when they do have a problem and they're seeking a solution, you'll be the first person who comes to mind because they know you. Okay. And that is such a huge piece of social selling, because it's all about building relationships based on mutual respect and trust. And those of you who are selling high ticket items may remember that sales slogan: know, like, and trust. People have to know you, then they have to like you, and then they have to trust you. Because if you're selling high ticket items, and by that I mean, $1,000 or more, um, people are not going to put that kind of money down. They're not going to hand over their credit card unless they trust you, right? I mean, if you're selling something for $5,000 or $10,000 or $20,000, I'm going to want to talk to you and get to know you before I hand over my credit card. I don't know if any of the others of you are like that, but I suspect that you are. Okay, so let's talk about why we want to do social selling and why that is such an important piece of landing more clients and closing more sales on LinkedIn. So we're talking about the buyer's journey. And when we're talking about social media, we're talking really about the new buyer's journey. Traditionally, the buyer's journey has been made up of three parts: awareness, consideration, and decision making. So awareness is that getting people to know us, getting people to become aware that we're here. And in that awareness stage for the buyer, this is the stage where they know they have a problem, but they may not know what's causing it. For instance, their sales revenue from the first quarter has dropped. They've seen a dramatic drop in sales, but they don't know why. They don't know what's causing it. So research shows us that 19% of people who are in that awareness stage, where they know they have a problem, but they don't know the solution, or they know they have a problem, but they're not sure what's causing it, 19% of people want to talk to a salesperson then. And by salesperson, I mean someone who can talk about solutions with them. And in the case of those of us who are small business owners, that's most of us, right? So 19% of people want to talk to us when they're really trying to figure things out. The second stage is consideration. Now, in this stage, they know they have a problem. They realize that and stay in the awareness stage, but now they understand what's causing it. And they're looking for solutions. They're comparing solutions. They're researching solutions. And 60%, a full 60% of people want to talk to a salesperson, or in this case, us, when they're in that stage. Now, what does that mean? That means that we want to really reach out to them. We really want people to connect with us or to become aware of us during the awareness and consideration stages. Because by the decision-making stage, when they're ready to make that purchase, 20% of people want to talk to a salesperson. But if you're waiting until that decision stage to really reach out and try and connect with people, you're missing 79% of people who wanted to talk to you. And you are competing with many, many more people than you would during those stages, because so many people are fixated or concentrating on that decision stage, those people who are ready to buy right now. And so research has really shown us that at any particular point, probably 1 to 3% of people out there are going to be people that we can approach and land right now, because they need to develop, they need to know us, they need to like us, and then they need to trust us. So the social selling or the social selling process on LinkedIn does that, because it addresses people in each of those stages. And that's really what we want to do. We want to get them to know us, like us, and trust us so much that when they realize they have a problem, or even think they have a problem, we pop into their minds. We are the only person that we are the first people that they think of, right? Absolutely. Okay, so why is social selling important? Well, when you're online, if you want to increase sales, you have to build relationships with those people. Excuse me. And that means we want to be able to reach them and start building those relationships over that entire new buyer's or entire buyer's journey. It also builds awareness, and this allows you to promote your profession or your personal brand and your digital brand. Knowing your brand and putting it out there really helps people understand what you're all about, and it really helps them understand how you can help them. So having your professional brand, or which is usually a combination of your personal brand and your digital brand, is so important when it comes to social selling, because people, as I said, are going to need to know, like, and trust you before they're going to buy from you. And then finally, and this is really, really important, your clients are already doing this. They're already going out and researching possible solutions to their problems. In fact, 72% of them are looking at their options on social media and conducting their research on social media before they make that purchase. So, if we go back one, if we can target them in the awareness and consideration stages, then we're going to build that relationship, and we are going to be the first person who pops to mind when they are experiencing a problem and think they're and looking for solutions. Okay, so I mentioned to you before. High ticket programs just don't sell online. If you're selling a $57 ebook, or even, a $97, mini course, or something that's, a fairly low price, people are going to buy it, right? They don't have to talk to you before they do it. You don't have to talk to me before you download an ebook, right? But you would definitely want to talk to me if you're buying a course from me, or purchasing a coaching package from me. That's a higher ticket item. So remember that in order to sell people online, you are going to have to build relationships where they understand, where you've built them based on mutual respect and trust, rather than a heavy duty sales pitch. I know that all of you have had this experience where someone sends you an invitation saying, "I was looking at your profile. I would really like to connect with you. I think that there are some things that we have in common." You connect, you accept the invitation, and while you're writing your response, which I hope you're all doing, while you're writing your response to that invitation, you get another message, and it's a sales pitch. I call that a premature sales pitch. And it's just irritating, isn't it? I always feel like I've been deceived. Like, this is, what do they call that? Bait and switch. They came across one way, but then when I accepted their invitation, they showed their true colors, and they were completely different than what I thought. So you really want to make sure that you are building trust and mutual respect in those relationships as you're going along. Okay. LinkedIn gives us a very cool way of understanding how well we're doing at social selling. It's called the Social Selling Index, and I'm going to show you an example of that in a minute. But first, let's talk about the four parts of the social selling index, or as I show you in this graphic, the 4 pillars of social selling. So the first is to create a professional brand. And by that, we're talking about if you're a small business owner or a solopreneur, we're really talking about your brand, your personal brand, because people want to do business with people. They don't want to do business with companies. When people want to connect with somebody and ask questions or get to know about something, they're much more likely to connect with us on our profiles than they would on our company page, because they relate to us. So building a powerful personal brand is really, really important for social selling on LinkedIn. The second pillar is finding the right people. Now, you can use any social media platform to try and find people and to locate people, but LinkedIn is very different this way, because LinkedIn has a lot of tools built into it that allow you just to drill down really deep and find those people you want. You know, I used to say, I have a Ph.D., and I used to say that has absolutely nothing to do with what I do now. And then I realized one day it actually does have something to do with that, because rather than kind of broad basing, my interests, I tend to look at a single aspect and then delve down into it to find out everything I can about it. Whoops. Didn't mean to do that. So LinkedIn makes it so easy for you to find the right people, because they have the search fields in their advanced search function. And then if you buy a premium program in those, they have search fields that will allow you to drill down and find your ideal clients. You can search based on industry. You can search based on title, on experience, on location, on how many what your connection with them or lack of connection with them is. You can even, and I love this piece, you can even research and filter through your competitors' contacts. You can bring them over to the advanced search and filter through their contacts and find out, and locate their contacts. Because let's face it, just because somebody's in there is a connection doesn't mean they're a client. So this is really helpful. Plus, it gives you insight into what kinds of people, occupations, locations, and all of that would be really open to being connected with you. The third one is engage with insights. And this one often throws people because it's a little more difficult to understand, because we hear so much about publishing content on LinkedIn, right? Posting content on LinkedIn. And that's very, very important for promoting your brand and establishing you as an expert, as a thought leader. However, there is another way that you can engage that LinkedIn really, really encourages, and that is engaging with insights. And that simply means finding articles in your news feed, and then sharing them, commenting on them, liking them, really, really promoting those. So if you go and if you find a really great article, hey, let's say that you find a really great article by me, okay? And if you like it and then you comment on it and you share it, I'm really going to notice that. And I'm really going to make note of who you are, because, hey, you've already, made a really good connection with me. So LinkedIn really, really encourages this, because that's one of the ways that you engage people and build relationships. For instance, if you found one of my articles and you wanted to share it, I would benefit from it because you're sharing my article, but you also benefit from it in a very important way. You are building your reputation as a go-to resource who's always in the know, who's always up on the latest, industry trends, new techniques, all of those things. So engaging with insights simply means engaging with people in the news feed or in groups, primarily in the news feed. Yeah, in the news feed. It doesn't count in groups, but in the news feed, to comment or to indicate your support, your reactions, like, love, applaud, all of those, and then comment or share. And let me give you a little hint on comments. You always want to use 5 or more words because the algorithm works that way, and it's going to recognize or comments that have 5 or more words. And if you really want to build a relationship with that person whose content you are liking, commenting, or sharing on, ask a question, ask an open-ended question that they will respond to, because that is how you build relationships. Think about it. If LinkedIn were a networking group, well, it is a networking group. Let's not use that example. Let's say that you are invited to a party and you don't know many people there. So you introduce yourself and you try and get to know them, right? And how do you do that? You do that by asking questions and responding to questions, right? You get people to open up about themselves and then engage in conversation. Well, that's exactly the same way it works on LinkedIn. It's just that you use this process to build that relationship online rather than in direct conversation. And then finally, the fourth pillar of the social selling index is building strong relationships. And that's exactly what we've been talking about, right? It is building those relationships, making those connections, and really expanding your network, but doing it in the right way. Because there are so many people out there who are sending out those premature sales messages that are just, well, maybe I'm putting thoughts in your head. They are a turtle turn off. No, they are a total turn off for me. And nothing will make me move on faster than that. Now, there are 2 ways of thinking about the social selling index, and I've heard both of them, and I'll tell you my response in a moment. But some people look at it and say, well, it's really not very useful because it doesn't do anything for you. It doesn't promote you. It doesn't bring you people. It just is this index. Now, I look at it differently. I track my score on the social selling index because that tells me how well I'm doing in each of these 4 areas. And if I slack off in one of those areas, I see it in the results on my social selling index in my score. And what they tell you is that if you have a social selling index of 70 or above, you are doing a good job on social selling, or you are doing it well. So this score is a way of checking in and seeing if I'm kind of falling behind in some areas. For instance, a few months ago, I fell and I fractured my hip. I'm able to walk. It's not going to hinder me in the long term, but I was in a lot of pain and I certainly wasn't posting very much. And my social selling score indicated that. I went from a score that is always, or at least mostly, above 80% down to 71% in a matter of weeks. So the social selling index really pinpoints for me where I might be falling behind and what I need to improve. So let me, the wrong way. Let me show you an example of this. This is an example of my social selling index. And you can see above the top, I am in the top 1% of my team. Now, I always laugh at this because my company is me and two virtual assistants, two great, fabulous virtual assistants. But for me to be in the top 1% isn't really that challenging. In fact, um, it could be argued that I should be higher than 83% if there are only three of us and the other two aren't posting. So I'm not sure why I'm only in the top, why I'm only in the only an 83 score there out of the three people who are in my company. I don't know. I haven't got a clue, but that's what it shows. Now, the second one is for your industry. For instance, I'm in the professional training and coaching industry. That's how LinkedIn classifies me. So I can see that. And I can also look, and I am in the top 1% of people in my network, those people who are direct connections. Now, here's what I think is, here's what I find really valuable for me. First of all, it gives you the four components of your score. So you can really see, where you're doing well and where you need improvement. For instance, the four components of the four components, promoting my brand, I'm doing really well. And, I have almost a perfect score there if you consider a perfect score to be, I think it's 25. Yeah, and I'm at a 24.9. So doing okay there. And I'm not doing quite as well in finding the right people, or I wasn't at this point. And that's because I hadn't been sending out a lot of invitations. I believe, was during the period where I had fractured my hip. Or shortly. No, I'm sorry, it isn't. It was before that. But I just wasn't sending out as many invitations because I don't like to send out a whole bunch of invitations at one time. LinkedIn limits you to 100 invitations per week. Now, I don't send that many out. I aim for 15 to 25 invitations per week because remember, social selling is all about building relationships. And I can't be conversing and building relationships with 100 people a week. I'd love to say I could do that. I'm just not. I'm just not able to. And maybe I'm a little more awkward or maybe a little less I don't know what the word is I want to say, but I clearly was not doing it because it takes me time to build those relationships. I think about what I'm writing to people. I think about what I'm commenting on. So that can lower your score. Now, you can see engage with insights. That's where I was falling down. And that's partially because I hadn't really taken the time to customize my feed. And if you don't know it, you can actually you can improve your news feed to pull up just the kinds of topics that you're interested in. And I'm going to, later this month, I am going to show you exactly how to improve your newsfeed to the point where you are seeing all the topics that you want to share and that will help you build relationships with potential clients. Okay, and then finally is the build relationships. And obviously, I was doing a good job here. I had 25 out of 25. So you can see where my emphasis is. As I told you, I like to keep those invitations to between 15 and 25 a week because I can't build relationships with 100 people at a time. Like I said, maybe I'm socially awkward. Maybe I'm missing something here, but that's too much for me to handle. I really like to get to know people, and I really want to build that relationship and build that trust the right way, one piece at a time. But okay, come on. There we go. Okay. Some of you have been asking me about if I would show the system again, and this is the system that I've created called the Lucrative LinkedIn System, and it has 4 parts. And the reason I created this visual for it is that I want you to understand where things fall in that system, how you build that relationship and that social selling process that is going to land you more clients. So there are 4 parts. The first one is clarity. And you can think of this as strategy also, because in this stage, you are going to get very clear on your goals, your niche, and your brand, because you have to be clear on them before you can really um, get very far with LinkedIn in terms of social selling and building relationships. You have to be really clear about your goals, and you have to be able to track metrics and know what the key performance indicators, the metrics are that will show you how well you're doing in that, how well you're moving towards your goals. You have to be clear about your niche. I know it's hard. I know, boy, do I know it's hard. It is so hard to narrow down that target audience. And the reason, I think, is that we feel like when we narrow it down, we're eliminating people that could be clients. And that may be possible at times. But what I know to be true, and what I'm sharing with you here, is that if you are trying to appeal to everyone, you won't appeal to anyone. When your ideal clients visit your profile, you want them to understand immediately that you are the person they're looking for, that you work with people in their niche, that you help people in their niche. So you really have to gear everything towards the problems and challenges of people in that niche. And once you understand that and know the challenges and problems that they are facing, then you can absolutely address them and talk about your solutions for those problems. So getting that niche clear is a really important part. And then finally, you have to be clear on your brand. And your brand is a combination of things. It's your personal values. It's your strengths, your interests, your quirks. How are you different? You know, people who like to work for me know that I have a very dry sense of humor. Some people have even called it weird. I like to think it's just dry, but people who work with me and who choose me because I'm different in that way, and because I like to have fun during sessions. I like to have fun during classes. And so, you know, they choose me because I'm different in that way. Because what we know about LinkedIn and really about all social media is that people don't buy our products and services because we're the best in the world. You know, there are over 800 million people on LinkedIn. Chances are that somebody in that 800 million people does what you do as well or better than you do. So people aren't buying based on that. They're buying based on how you are different from your competitors, what makes you unique, because it is that difference, their difference, that makes them want to work with you. Okay, the second stage is awareness. And in this stage, people know what their problem is, and they're looking for you. So what you are doing in this stage is you are creating things that will help them become aware. So your profile is built in such a way that it, first of all, is fully branded so people understand exactly who you are. And remember, brands always sell better than what's the word I want? Commodities, I guess. You know, a brand, if you think about soda, the brands that we know, say Coca-Cola or Pepsi or whatever it is, those brand sodas usually sell more than generic's the word, than the generic ones that you're going to find at your grocery store, right? They may be made by that brand, but they're offered differently and they're offered at a lower price. So remember, brands usually command a higher price than generics. Secondly, you're going to make people aware through content marketing. And I know that we are not all great at doing content and producing content. You know, I find it a real challenge. I do it, and I love that it helps me get out the message to people. But there are days when I'm just not creative, right? So you want to find out and plan how to do your content marketing. For instance, what mediums or what formats are you best at? What formats will work best for you? Are you a good writer? Well, then articles and posts might be best. Or are you great at video? Then video might be the best. Or, you know, a number of other kinds, you know, maybe polling is what you need, or infographics. But you are going to want to choose a medium that is simple for you and that will help you get that content marketing done. And that means that you are good at it, that you're comfortable with it, that it's something that you find fun to engage with, and that you can keep up on a consistent basis. And then finally, there's positioning. What is your position in the market? You know, I specialize in LinkedIn, but I'm also a master personal brand strategist and a digital brand strategist. So a lot of my work with people about LinkedIn is built around branding, about how you create a powerful personal brand and how you promote it in a way that people will respond and feel compelled to reach out to you. So I teach how to use LinkedIn a little bit differently than some other people teach it. But we all are using the same tools. We all emphasize some of the same things, but we're coming at it from a different angle. And one angle, for instance, mine, might be more appealing to you than another one, or one perspective might be appealing to you other than another one. So you want to position yourself within that market. You know, I position myself as a branding and LinkedIn expert. So that is my position in the market, serving coaches, consultants, and other professional service providers. So I have my brand, and I also have my position, which promotes my brand to a specific niche. See how this is all starting to tie in now? Okay, so the third stage is lead generation. And this is what you see a lot of the activity around. And this is what you may find in your mailbox, people who are promoting their ability to generate leads. Here is what I believe you need to be able to do to generate leads. You need to be able to prospect. In other words, you need to be able to drill down through LinkedIn and find the exact people that are going to be good referral partners or, you know, good clients. You also have to connect with them. Now, there are right ways to do this and there are wrong ways. Now, the wrong way is pretty simple. That would be to send a generic invitation. You know, that generic invitation, let me see if I can remember it. I'd like to invite you to join or to be part of my professional network on LinkedIn. Ugh. You know, that's not appealing. I mean, does that make you feel special when someone says, I'd like to invite you to participate in my professional network on LinkedIn? Not very personal. It's just going to hang out there. And in my case, it could be in my mailbox forever because I don't look at things like that. So you really want to be able to connect with people in a way that's personal. And here's a little tip. LinkedIn gives you lots of opportunities to connect with people. You know, if you click on network, it's going to show you people that you can invite to connect. Don't do it there. It has a big connect button. Do not use that button. Instead, go to their profile and click connect. Now, they could either have a connect button, or if, like me, they have turned on creator mode, which we'll talk about at a different time. You might have to click more and then in the drop-down menu, click connect. Because when you connect with someone on their profile, LinkedIn gives you the option of attaching a brief message. And I mean a really brief message. This can only have 300 characters, including white spaces. So that is not a very long message. That's maybe 15 words, okay? So, well, maybe a few more than that. I'm not up on my word counts, okay, or my character counts. But that message tells them why you're connecting with them. You know, it mentions something personal that you saw on their profile. Oh, I noticed. In my case, I could say, oh, you graduated from the University of Florida. Was so-and-so still there? Or were you at the game when? You know, I mean, there are just so many things I could say to somebody from the University of Florida. But there may also be a member of a certain group, or they may have connections in common with me, in which case I could say something like, I just noticed that we're connected to 45 people, or we have 45 connections in common. You know, I don't know why we haven't been tripping over each other, but let's correct that. Let's connect right now, you know, and make it personal. Okay. You always want to comment on something that you found on their profile, or compliment something that you found on their profile, to create that connection, and then tell them a little bit, just hint a little bit at the value you can offer, and then inviting them to connect. That is going to be so much more effective than I'd like to invite you to be part of my professional network. I've got to go back and check that. It seems awkward. I may have that phrase a little bit wrong, but you get the idea. And then finally, the third part of lead generation, and this is the place where most people fail to complete, or don't really work the system. You want to keep messaging back and forth. You want to enter into a conversation with these people. You want to build a relationship with people. And that means, hey, Selena, nice to see you. Yes, I will get you the recording. If we are not connected as first-degree connections, go and invite me from my profile and tell me you were in this, and I will accept right away. And thank you so much for asking that, and thank you so much for attending. So we will get that to you. So in nurturing, this is where you're building that relationship. And you do that by offering value. You can offer value by engaging with their content. We've been talking about that. You know, liking their content, commenting on their content, sharing their content, because you are doing something for them, right? You're recognizing them, and you are helping promote them on LinkedIn. You know, if somebody's helping me promote on LinkedIn, I'm going to recognize them. I'm going to try and reciprocate and help them actually build on LinkedIn also. So this is a great positioning tactic. By continuously offering value, you are building those relationships. And just one caveat here: value, something is only valuable if it's relevant. If your content that you're promoting isn't relevant to their problems and challenges, it's spam. You know, that's how they're going to look at it, because it isn't really directed to what they need. So you're welcome, Selena. I look forward to getting you to know you better. So this relationship building is really the key. And if you remember that buyer's journey that I showed you a little bit earlier, that's where this comes in. You're going to be really connecting with people in the first and second stages of the buyer's journey. So by the time they get to that third stage, they're going to look for you. Okay, and then the final stage is conversion. And by that, I mean, you know, getting in the sales mindset, in the correct sales mindset, and actually having those sales conversations. And if you have been building this relationship over time and building it based on respect and trust, those sales conversations are going to be so much easier because you're not trying to convince people of something. They already know you. You're talking about options. You're talking about how you might work together, and you are not trying to pressure them. Ugh, I hate that concept. You're not trying to pressure them into a sale. There is nothing that turns me off faster than someone really pressuring me to buy their product or their program or their service. I'll be out the door faster than they can blink an eye. Okay, the second part of this is analysis. And by this, remember in the first part, in the clarity part, we set our goals. And I said that, we find the metrics that are going to help us know how well we're doing in reaching those goals. This is where it comes in. In that last part of the cycle, you're going to look at the metrics. You're going to look at that social selling index. You're going to look at how many people are responding to your comments. You're going to look at how many people are seeing your content. And that's going to tell you, changes in that are going to tell you how good you're doing in those areas relative to how you've done in the past and how you might do in the future. Plus, remember, it gives you a comparison of how other people in your industry and in your network are doing. Very important. And then finally, rinse and repeat. Take those pieces that worked really well through that analysis, really figure out what's working and what's not, and then fix it and set out again. So that is really my favorite part of the social selling process, because that's when I can really get creative and start thinking about what I've learned through this process. Okay, a lot of you have been asking me about the lucrative LinkedIn system, when I would make that available again. We will be offering it sometime in late June. I don't have the waiting list up yet, but if you would like to know when that's up, or you would like us to send you the link, you can just put a note in the comments, or just connect with me on LinkedIn and let me know, and we will be sure that you get invited. This is a system that follows the exact system that I have shown you over this last bit. So not available yet, but let us know, and we will make sure that you know when it comes available. And that's, I'm not going to say any more about it because that's all you need. That's all you really care about, right? So, and I apologize. Apparently I forgot to bold a couple of things on this slide, but I'm going to give you 4 very important links, and I apologize. This first one is no longer available. I meant to take it off and I didn't. So here are 2 links, and I don't have my group on Facebook anymore. I have some ethical issues with Facebook. And so I've decided to take my group off of Facebook and offer it in another format, because I really live on LinkedIn. I don't use Facebook at all. So you can email me with questions or with comments at dumontowen.com, or you can subscribe to my newsletter at this link. And the other option you have is subscribing to my newsletter on LinkedIn. If you are interested in getting a link to that newsletter, you can, just write us and ask for it. You can also just look me up on LinkedIn, and it will give you the link to that newsletter. If you have difficulty finding it, just let me know. I also, in this personal newsletter, I send that out twice a week. And the second time I send it out, I have all the upcoming events over the next month or so. So sign up for the newsletters if you want to stay in the loop, and we will definitely make sure that happens. So sorry about the links, By the way, the Entrepreneur's Rocket Fuel giveaway comes up several times a year, so you will have other opportunities to take part in it. And I don't know why I didn't take that off, but I didn't. I'm not perfect, but I try. I try. So listen, this is all I have to show you today. If you have questions, just connect with me on LinkedIn. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have, or subscribe to my newsletter, and you'll find a lot of answers in there. This is my personal newsletter, but you can also look up my newsletter on LinkedIn. It is called you know what? I can't remember what it's called. The Lucrative LinkedIn System. That's what it's called. So you can find it. You can find it also on LinkedIn. So if you'd like more information, or if you'd like to connect with me, please do, because I'd love to get to know you. And otherwise, I will see you on the next broadcast. Thanks. And this is Dumont Owen. Whoops, let me stop sharing my screen for a second. Oh, it's not going to let me do that right now. Turn off the share. Okay. All right. It's not letting me do it, or I just haven't figured it out. Every once in a while, the technological part of my brain switches off. So anyway, you can connect with me on LinkedIn, or sign up for either the newsletters. Thanks, and have a great day. And don't forget, I'm here every Wednesday at noon Eastern Standard Time. Bye now.